at the Provo City Center. And we will also have the BRT bus there on display. On July the 25th, City of Orem, we have our splash pad grand opening at noon at the Palisade Park. On July 29th, we have the Walker Sanderson Funeral Home annual car show from 4 to 8 p.m. On August the 15th, we have the primary election. And we may want to make note that you have to have your ballots postmarked by August the 14th or physically bring them in here to the City Center on August the 15th. On August the 31st, we have the City of Orem Employee Appreciation Luncheon at 11:30 a.m. at the Timpanogos Park. September 13th to the 15th, we have the Utah League of Cities and Towns 2017 Annual Conference. And the 14th of October, we have the Utah Valley 27th Annual President's Scholarship Ball at the UCCU Center. And on November the 7th, we have the general election. We have one appointment to a board or commission, and that is to the Recreation Commission. And this is for Ember Harris to the Recreation Advisory Commission. He says that he would like to utilize his skills. She says she would like to utilize her skills to advise and serve on the Rec Advisory Commission. And I would like to ask for a motion to accept her on that commission.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. We'd now like to go on to the personal appearance portion of our meeting. This is time set aside for anyone wishing to speak. We would ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes and give us your name when you come to the podium. And I believe that Mike Ward has signed up for that, so we'll ask him to come forward.
Thanks for this opportunity. I know I'm not sure whether it's getting postponed today or not, but I wanted to talk about the 5 nodes. The changing of the use on State Street. This struck real close to me as I own 3 businesses, all 3 of them here in Orem on State Street, and I just felt that kind of blindsided by this. I know they sent out a postcard saying that you guys were going to talk about it, but talk about it in a larger scale. But reading the list of businesses that are on that proposed use, it almost seems like someone drove down State Street and picked out every single business in Orem that's on State Street. I mean, it's so specific, it even talks about manufacturing of ice cream. Being in the ice cream business, one of the business owners, Baskin Robbins, I know that in the West, there's 2 ice cream manufacturing plants. One was recently torn down, the Medigold building here, and the other one's in St. George. But it's, to be able to be that specific, to have even, that kind of, that business even listed on there, it's obvious to me that someone drove down State Street and picked out all the businesses that they didn't like, because there's not a whole lot of ice cream manufacturing processes. I also have 2 other businesses on there that are businesses that are not going to be in that new use, and it's just troubling that that what's been there and we've had forever, that someone decides they don't like the way our businesses look, and now we're getting kind of run out of town, so to say. But I know we're going to be addressing that or tabling that issue or whatever today, but I just wanted to bring that up, that it just strikes a nerve that it seems like someone did exactly that. Drove down State Street and just picked out all the businesses that they didn't think were up to their standard. I loved being a business owner here in Orem. As I said, I have owned 3 businesses here, and this has always been such a wonderful place. So I'd like to continue that and hope that we can have a lot more discussion on this topic, so we don't just run into slamming a whole bunch of apartment complexes, on a street that generally hasn't had any. So thank you.
Thank you.
I own Baskin Robbins, Patriot Motors, which is a used car dealership, and Precision Auto Experts, which is a full-service mechanic shop.
Appreciate your comments, and just to let you know, we will be reaching out to the businesses to meet with you. So, Thank you.
I have spoken with most of them around me, and they would also love to be talked well.
Our plan is to do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there are no other personal appearances. We'll now go ahead and move on to consent items. Doesn't appear that there are any. So we'll go on to our schedule items, the first one being a public hearing on a PD 34 rezone. This is an ordinance amending section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the city of Orem by changing the zone on 4.87 acres located generally at 800 South, 800 East from the C2 zone and the R8 zone to the PD 34 zone. Also amending section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the city of Orem by changing the zone on .60 acres located at 1175 South State Street from the C2 zone to the PD 34 zone and amending Appendix BB pertaining to the concept plan for the PD 34 zone. And Jason Bench is our presenter.
That was quite a mouthful.
That is. And would you like to introduce those?
Sure. We have Kathy Olson and Chris Longson that represent the University Mall.
Good to have you here.
So as you mentioned, Mayor, there's two locations that they want to rezone. One is this location on State Street. It currently has the Big O Tire, or no, it doesn't, has the bank that they're wanting to rezone to the PD 34. That's the one location. And the other location is the homes that have been torn down over the past couple of years on the corner of 8th South and 8th East. They're wanting to put those now as part of the PD 34 zone. So you can see on your left, the existing shows the current configuration of the PD 34 zone. And then the one on the left is the one that they're proposing to change, and you can see the two portions of those sites that they want to then add to that P34.
And to clarify, the homes you just showed us are all not there any longer. They've all been purchased and torn down.
They've all been torn down. That's correct. Okay. Yep. The other thing they're wanting to do then is to extend. You can see the existing plan. Basically, extend the uses of this concept plan to mixed use. There are some specific residential component that they're going to extend out. Let me see if this thing will work. You can see the existing or the proposed specific to residential. The other one would be mixed use. So the other areas, the diagonal hashing would be a mixed use. So it could be a combination of residential or office or any of those types of uses that would be currently allowed in the PD 34 zone. They would also extend the requirements for the 50-foot setback for the 45-foot maximum height, like similar to the Aston. When they came through originally, there was a required setback and maximum height within that area. And then there would also be, so that would be extended, as you can see, in this area up and through there. So they're proposing to change that as well. And then also the sign allotment would also, you can see the blue line would be extending up that route as well. Any specific questions that so they're wanting to rezone it to the PD 34 zone, and then the appendix BB would be, these 4 pages would be basically amended in the existing. The rest of the appendix would stay the same. These 4 pages would be exchanged out. Any questions that I can address?
Any questions from the council? Okay. Councilmember LeRae.
So as you're going to relocate the, the bank and the Big O Tires, do you have an idea, are they going to stay in our community? Do you have an idea where they'll land, or will you just terminate leases and wish them well?
Push it.
We're negotiating with both of those tenants to stay as part of the development right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Lentz.
Just on the screen right now, there's one little section that says not a part. Can you just point out what that property
is? The shoe store, I'm trying to think of the name, Runner Corner, which is not part of the mall property.
And the current zoning for that?
C2.
C2. So that would remain C2?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, this is a public hearing, so we'll open it up for any comments from the public. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and give us your name when you come forward. Seeing as how no one's coming forward, we'll close the public comment of our public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any comments or questions from the council?
I'd like one, Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Seastrand.
I know we've done lot of extensive traffic study. Sorry. Does this change at all alter any of the traffic patterns or traffic studies that we've addressed in the previous meetings?
Is it a question for us or for Paul?
Either one.
So when the site plans come in, that's when Paul will require either an amended site plan or amended traffic study, or this concept plan just basically allows the use. And then when we go through the actual site plan process,
And they'll address the traffic aspect from that standpoint.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, as you can see, we've just tried to match what we did before. We didn't control all those properties before, and so we've just extended our setbacks and everything and just made it match what was previously approved. And we just didn't have that part of the PD 34 zone originally, if you'll remember, because we didn't control all the parcels at that time. Had a bunch of them, but not all of them, and now we have all, so we're just asking for an extension of that zone.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Councilmember Sumner?
Now, this doesn't affect Rob's Running Center at all, does it?
It doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, any other questions from the council? So I would accept a motion if someone would like to make one.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay,
that the City Council amend Section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the City of Orem by changing the zone on 4.87 acres located generally at 800 South, 800 East from the C2 zone and R8 zone to the PD 34 zone, amending Section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the City of Orem by changing the zone on 0.60 acres located at 1175 South State Street from a C2 zone to the PD 34 zone and amending Appendix BB pertaining to the concept plan for the PD 34 zone.
I'll second that. Councilmember Seastrand, we'll start with you for the voting.
Aye.
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 Okay, the ordinance passes. Thank you very much. We'd now like to move on to item number 11, which is a public hearing amending the Orem General Plan land use map by changing the designation from low-density residential to medium-density residential and amending Section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the City of Orem by changing the zone from an R8 zone to a R6 zone on a lot at 166 South, 1000 East. And Jason Bench is our presenter.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This lot in particular has two frontages, one on 950 East, which is this street here, and then 1000, which is that. What they're wanting to do is subdivide this into two parcels and have keep the existing house that's currently located there and then build a new house that would then face 950. In order to do that, they do need to rezone the property because it's not big enough to have two R8 zone lots, so they wanted to go to the R6 to accommodate that. The lot sizes would be 6,300 square feet and 7,000 square feet. The existing home would be...
I'm sorry, say that again.
So the two lots that they're proposing would be 6,300 square feet and 7,000 square feet.
Jason, could you go back and look at... so you said there's two houses. Oh, it's a small little house. Is that what is coming on?
Small little house.
Okay,
yeah.
that one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So the Planning Commission did make a recommendation to the council rezone the property to R6. The city does get curb gutter sidewalk and the improvements on 950, and so it fits well within, I think, the neighborhood. This is the current zone. You can see the property outlined. It is surrounded obviously by R8. There's a few R5s and a few R75s as you get further out from the property. This would be the general plan. There are some few medium density residential zones in the neighborhood. Not specifically around this, but this is just affecting the two parcels. So this would be the existing home that will remain, and this is the side that they'll complete the sidewalk, curb gutter, and things on this 950 East. So any questions that I can address?
Councilmember Lentz?
Was there any negative feedback received from the neighbors there, or do all of them see this as an improvement?
I don't think there was any negative at the Planning Commission,
Okay.
or have we heard anything that I'm aware of from the neighbors.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? All right, this is a public hearing, so we'll open it up for any public comment. Please hold your comments to 3 minutes and give us your name when you come forward. Anyone who would like to come forward? Seeing no one's coming forward, we'll close the public comment portion of our public hearing and bring it back to the council. Any comments from the council? I am open for a motion.
Oh, I had a comment.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry. Jason, you said we held the mandatory notice, but no one showed up. Is that what happened? Or did
No one
neighbors?
to the planning commission that I'm aware of. I don't
Okay.
know who came to the neighborhood.
I don't know if any neighbors are here. I'm guessing they're not, but if I could have that finished with a curb and gutter instead of what I'm seeing there, I would perceive that most neighbors would be in favor of that. And so
Right. Yep.
with that, I'm happy to make the promotion if I'm on the right page.
Okay. Page 4 at the top.
Number 11, right?
Yes.
Is it 11?
Yep.
Yes, 11.
Sorry.
Page 4 at the top.
I recommend that the City Council by ordinance amend the Orem General Plan land use map by changing designation from low-density residential to medium-density residential, and amend Section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the Orem City by rezoning property at 166 South, 100 East from the R8 zone,
1,000 East.
1,000 East from the R8 zone to the R6 zone.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Seastrand, we'll start with you.
Aye.
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 The ordinance passes. We'll move on to item number 12. This is a public hearing amending Section 22-11 PD zone by enacting the PD 49 zone, State Street District Zone, amending Section 22-5-3A and the zoning map of the Orem City Code by changing the zone of all properties within the boundaries of the city center district. The Planning Commission has requested that this item be continued at a date not yet determined, and so I don't believe that a motion needs to be taken forward. Okay, so we will do a motion to continue the item.
Yes.
Okay?
To a date not specific,
Yeah.
right. We're still working with the planning commission.
So we will take a motion to continue it to a date not yet specified.
Move to continue to a date non-specified.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Councilmember McDonald will
Aye.
speak.
Aye.
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 Okay, this will be continued. We'll move on to item number 13. This is a public hearing enacting Section 22-818, restriction of uses in the State Street District areas, amending Appendix A and enacting Appendix WW pertaining to the restriction of commercial uses within district areas consistent with the State Street Corridor Master Plan. Jason, I know you're the presenter on this. Would you just like to make mention on that?
Yeah, we just want to request that this be continued to allow us more time to work with businesses, as we've heard tonight, and work out with staff some of the additional details to go along with this requirement.
So it's very important to us as staff and as the city council that we work together with our citizens and our businesses for the future benefit of the city, and so that's one reason why we're continuing this.
Yes, and just if I can mention, I mean, State Street, the master plan obviously is going to take a long process to get involved. This is part of that process, and so as we go along, we want to make sure we do it right, and so we want to make sure that we have time to do that, and so that's why we're recommending continue.
And part of the reason behind this is to beautify, to improve, to plan ahead for the future of Orem, for our State Street area and for our State Street master plan, and we want to do this in conjunction with the businesses that are there.
Yep.
So I wanted to find out, first of all, is there anyone here, since this has been noticed as a public hearing, is there anyone here that has come to speak on this issue? You'd raise your hand. Okay. So we will go ahead. I would like to move that we go ahead and continue this to a date that will be specified later and consider it then. Is there a second?
Mayor, I'm sorry, before we take a second.
Sorry,
I pushed the wrong button. While we have Mike here, before we actually move to continue that, I'm wondering if we could just ask him a few questions since he has three of the businesses in
Sure.
question. So could we...
Mike, would you want to come forward and...
So I appreciate you coming to tonight and sharing some of your concerns. And I know sometimes 3 minutes isn't enough time to really encapsulate everything that you're going through. And are there some things that you could tell us just to help us kind of put ourselves in your shoes a little bit to understand what a proposal like this, how this could impact you and your future plans for your business?
Certainly.
For your businesses, I should say.
So I originally found out about this plan when I went in to talk about wanting to expand in Orem, move to a different location, and sell my current property because I wanted to just move down the street, still in Orem. But I found out when I was talking to him that, and I think there was some miscommunication, but one of the long-term planners told me that if this went through, that I would not be able to sell my property to another car dealership, and in my other business, to another mechanic shop. And unfortunately, with a business like an auto shop, there's not a whole lot of other things that I can repurpose that building for. An auto shop is an auto shop. It's just, concrete with some bays. And so what he had told me is that, it was going to open up a lot of other options for me. But the only problem was, and I think that we got on the same page, is when he talked about it was going to be rezoned for, high density apartments and things like that, and that it was going to allow other uses. By not allowing me to sell it to another mechanic shop when I would want to, move, I would essentially have to tear down the building. So although the property itself may have a little bit higher value as raw ground, I would lose all the value in my building. And speaking with stores like Big O Tires and, all of the other car dealerships, and, even Codell Electrical Supply, which is another one on there, Lowry Doors, which is another one on there, just in telling them what it was originally told me, it was very alarming, because we could stay as long as we wanted, but the information I originally got said if we wanted to ever sell, the next person that came in would not be able to use it for that same purpose. And so that would cause a lot of problems on our businesses, because essentially we would have to tear down the businesses and sell it as raw ground. And
I think you've since learned that information that was given to you was incorrect. This has a grandfather clause to it, and so that if you have a car dealership, it can stay a car dealership forever as a legal non-conforming use.
Yeah, and so I was informed that, part of the reason I showed up is I wanted to make sure, I was told that, and I understand that to be the case. I wanted to make sure that got put in the code. It's
actually in the code.
Okay.
The gentleman unfortunately didn't know that, but we can give you a copy of the code. It's already in there, and has already been passed a long time ago. So.
Oh, perfect. So those are the things that would worry me. I love doing business in Orem. As I said, we're trying to expand, and this all came about when I was trying to look at selling the one property and moving to a larger property here in Orem. And so that was where some of the angst came, that there was just a lot that was unsure about this bill.
And that's one reason why we want to get together with you. And like I said, we will be holding meetings with you individually to go over that. So
perfect. And so that was mainly it. It just, and most of the other business owners I talked to, they weren't really aware of what was going on either. And so, just a little bit better communication. And I'll do a better part of showing up to these meetings as well to make sure that we're well informed as well. But that's the tough thing it would do on all of our businesses.
Okay. Thank you. And just mathematically, it was kind of interesting because this impacts roughly 2.5% of our businesses here in Orem, and your three businesses represent about 2.5% of those businesses as well. So it was just helpful to get your take on that as well. And whenever this comes back to the council, would love to have you back there.
I'd love to come back, and just in the node that I would right there, two of my businesses are right in there, 742 and 744 North State. Just if you stand at my business and look, it affects pretty much every single business that's in your eyesight from the front of my building. And so there's probably, just in that one cluster, there's probably about 30 businesses that it affects right there that would be on that list. And that was just looking out my front door, and there's, to my knowledge, there's 5 other nodes. And so the way I figured it probably factors about 120 businesses in Orem, as a rough guess of how many would affect.
Yeah, I think it was 123 that were on the list. Yep.
Yep. Good. Okay, thank you very much. Good to have you here. Okay, we're going to go and take a vote to...
I think Haysom wants to speak.
Haysom, would you like to say a word?
Hi, my name is Haysom Sakar. I own a couple of businesses in Orem as well. In fact, I sold Patriot Motors Precision Auto Experts to Mike here, and I opened my own dealership, 986 North State. I've been fully involved, reading all the codes, reading all the grandfather clauses that are in there. And at the beginning, I was also alarmed just because it kind of is interesting where it came about. I did live in quite a few different cities. One of them in New York, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Manhattan, so I know what it means to make something beautiful. State Street, as you can see, does need some work. I just don't get the angle of allowing and not allowing what could be there. I'm sure there are quite a few different angles, and I'm so grateful for you guys continuing the motion so you can be with the business owners to go through it. I did meet with Jason, Bench, and Kirby, and they've both been extremely helpful as far as the information to ease my fear. However, this is something that you will study, but it would be awesome for it to be on record. If I decide to sell my car dealership, it's a large car dealership, and to be honest with you, it is the most expensive car dealership property in State Street except for Larry Miller, which is a franchise dealer for a used car dealership. The only effect that will affect me, which will affect me personally, come here January 2019, is, just for the record, knowing that some other banks may do it, banks are extremely scared and fearful of giving commercial loans on any legal non-conforming zones, and I verified that with Jason and Kirby on a speakerphone with the credit manager of Bank of American Fork. So yes, it could be grandfathered into somebody else to use it. However, for that person to come in and actually get a loan, they are extremely scared about it. And they explained to Jason and Kirby, and he can second what I'm saying here, they said the only reason we're worried about it, if the economy takes another downturn like it did, or it was poorly managed, where the note needs to be foreclosed on, the bank will need to set a nut property and they'll sell it. And the average has been 3 years. And since the building has only been purposed for a car dealer or a mechanic shop, 3 years is a lot longer than the 1 year allowed for that same purpose to come back on, as per the note. You have 12 months. If you close for 12 months, you cannot open again for the same purpose. And if you take example like my property, I have 1.7 acres on State Street, 10,000 square foot building, and to build this building right now, it's $160 square foot. That's $1.6 million just to build my building, without the asphalt, without the permits, without all the work that goes through it, plus the land price. I paid a lot of money for that property, and if I decide to sell it, I know another dealership can go through it, but in order for him to get a loan, it cannot be legal and non-conforming. It has to be a conforming to the city's ordinances, all of it, to get a commercial loan. If I decide to sell it to a developer because nobody else can get a loan on it, because you all know as business owners that not everybody has $2 million to throw at a property in State Street, and that was supposed to be my retirement. In order to get a loan, in order for somebody else to buy it, to repurpose it, they will look at my $1.6 million building and says, I'm sorry, it means nothing to me. This needs to go away. What's the price of your land? 1.7 acre, here's 600 grand. That's all I can give you because it will cost me money to demolish the building, it will cost me money to tear out the asphalt. I'm going to need to repurpose the entire thing, but as a viable business, as it sits, you don't mean anything to me since the people you're trying to sell it to cannot get a loan on it. I'm not the only one in that predicament. In fact, as I explained, and I'm, again, grateful for all your work. This is not being upset about it. This is really happy that you've taken, at least listened to me. Come January 19, when I bought that building from the previous owner, Rand Robbins, classic car buyers. He's been in Orem for a long time. Great friend with Glenn Overton as well. And in fact, we're meeting there today. The deal was, in order for him to sell it to me, he'll have to get a certain amount of money, but I have to finance through him for 2 years. January 2019, I do have to finance it through my bank. I have to, in order to pay him the remaining balance. I agreed. I give him a large down payment. My bank will not loan me, and that's what they told me today. Some other bank would. However, the process will take a few years, which will kill the deadline because it's commercial property, and as you all know, it takes 6 months to get a commercial property appraisal. It's not that it's not that Bank of American Fork, since I've been working with them for over 15 years, I can walk in Tuesday, and what they'll need from me is a P&L and a balance sheet, and I can get the loan closed the Tuesday after with a simple loan-to-value calculation from the city's own, or from the county's own appraisal, and what the land is worth as I pay the property tax. That was my plan, because I know the bank for so long. They will have a great loan-to-value. However, if this passes before January 2019, all I can do is hand Rand Robbins the keys of the property, keep my $600,000. Congratulations, you own it.
Well, I'll have to have you stop here if you're close.
Sure.
Okay.
But that's again, this is my personal issue. This is my
Sure.
thing. I am grateful for what you guys are doing. I'm grateful you're going to meet every single business. I will be involved heavily from now on as far as it comes to city council meetings or city council itself.
We will be meeting with you individually as well. So.
I appreciate all your work. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, now go ahead. I would like to go ahead and make a motion to continue this to another time that will be determined. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll start with Councilmember McDonald.
Aye.
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 Okay, the ordinance passes. Thank you very much.
Not the ordinance.
I'm sorry, the motion passed, not the ordinance. Thank you. Are there any communication items, Jamie? Okay. Then if no other information, we'll go ahead and accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.